Chairman, congratulations to all of you on your nominations, and Mr. Jefferson, particularly congratulations to you. I supported your confirmation. I intend to support your confirmation on your next step. I also want to personally thank you for the time that we spent on the phone last week. I found your insights and your candor to be a breath of fresh air. I've got a quick question. So, Mr. Barr, who's taken a look at the holistic review, and I understand, that you won't necessarily opine on what Mr. Barr is doing within his lanes, but I'm trying to square public comments he's made about the bank system being quite sound and what we all assume is going to be a decision to increase capital requirements for banks. So where do you believe that we find a balance between capital standards and I mean, how can you reconcile the person who's looking at who's responsible for this holistic review, who says the banking system is quite sound, and what we think is an eventual increase in capital requirements? Just how do you do that?
Well, Senator, I want to thank you for taking time out to speak with me last week. I also enjoyed our conversation. As you can imagine, I don't think it would be appropriate for me to speak about Vice Chair Barr's philosophies, because I know he comes before this and other committees.
That's fair enough. I anticipated your answer. You're very disciplined, but I just hope Mr. Barr understands those two have to be reconciled. So when we see his recommendations, we'll deal with them at that time. But we just had, I don't know if you were here, I know somewhere in the audience we were talking about this clawback law. The point that I made there is we're only talking about one of what I consider to be the two root causes of Silicon Valley Bank failure, Signature Bank failure. I think First Republic's slightly different category. But what I'm surprised by is that I don't know if the FDIC or the Federal Reserve, can you confirm for me whether or not the FDIC or the Federal Reserve has taken any action against supervisors that were responsible with the SVB supervision?
I can say, to my knowledge, I am not aware of that.
So if there's a general sense that there was a lapse in supervision, and even the Senate Bill 2155, for about a month or two after the collapse, was said by some of my friends and colleagues on the other side of the aisle as the root cause of the collapse. But we all know that there's optionality in there, and we know that the supervisors know that now because we're seeing an increasing rate of MRAs and MRIAs that are coming out with banks subsequent to the Silicon Valley lapse. So that suggests to me that someone didn't put their foot on the accelerator with Silicon Valley Bank, and it suggests to me that we really need a full accounting of why they did that. Why were they lax with the MRAs, the MIRAs, the outstanding MRIAs? We had the CEO here said that he was now encountering, I think, 31. I think that was the number. So it just seems to me, and actually, if any other nominees, I see you taking notes, have your own comment, it doesn't seem like we're really focusing on the second part. There was a management failure, there was management malpractice, but it seems like there was a supervisory failure and potentially supervisory malpractice. So how do we actually get to a point where that there's some accountability there? There doesn't seem to be accountability today. How do you deal with that?
Well, Senator, my recollection of Vice Chair's Barr report was that he did identify.
He pointed to supervisory lapses, which is why I'm wondering why there wasn't action taken.
Well, that, Senator, is above my pay grade in terms of determining who might.
If we get away from the specifics, but conceptually, when we look at the activities of supervision in the bank, and most people think there's a general sense that there was a lapse, and there have been people at the Fed that have stipulated that maybe there was a lapse. Why wouldn't there be a natural follow-up to hold individuals accountable, just conceptually?
Well, Senator, I think that the points that you are raising are vital for further consideration by the board. And I think that in time to come, as we learn more about what happened in this episode, it will be the case that that knowledge will be used so that going forward, and I think that's really what's critical here, Senator, is lessons learned. And what can we do in terms
Yeah, if we get nothing more than saying maybe this group of supervisors gets a pass, but that behavior that was demonstrated there is unacceptable, so there will be consequences in the future. If we have a lapse in supervision, to me, would be a great start. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for your service to Davidson College, and look forward to supporting your nomination.
Thanks, Senator Tillis.